Welcome you guys to the Happily Ever After Summit, where you're going to learn how to co-create a marriage filled with love, intimacy, and adventure. Today we have Dr. Patti Britton. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. This is fun.
I'm super excited. So before we get started with the questions today, can you tell everybody what it is that you do?
Sure. I'm a board-certified clinical sexologist, and if I went into all the things I do, we would be using up the whole 20 minutes. But I'm a sexologist. I specialize in sexuality concerns as an educator, as a clinician, as an author, as a speaker. I've written 5 books. I'm the host of 40 couples sexual enhancement DVDs, which are something that I use with my own clients. I think it's a powerful way to teach about sex because we're not really taught that. Mm-mm. And I'm an academic. I'm a professor at several graduate schools. I'm actually an academic dean at one of them. And I keep a small private practice because I'm the co-founder of Sex Coach University and Sexology University, where we train professionals to have the caring, competent, compassionate container to serve the needs of clients who may show up with sexual, I like to call them roadblocks. Mm-hmm. And I have my own model, and I've trained people in over 50 countries in Puerto Rico and travel internationally once a year. So you caught me when I'm in the United States, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm super excited. So you're like the expert.
I'm kind of one of the experts. I'm the pioneer of sex coaching, and I've done this a really long time.
So we're going to get into this because I know you're going to give me like such great information. I'm just super excited about this.
Thank you.
So I'm going to be looking down just so you know, so I make sure I ask the question specifically. How can sex coaching help couples to stay intimate?
Well, sex coaching is my own model, which is the combination of tried and true sex therapy, usually done by a mental health counselor or therapist or other kind of professional who looks at kind of the diagnostics of what's going on with your mental health issues or your personality issues. In sex coaching, we don't really come from that same perspective. I'll say more about that. But in 1993, I am the founder of the marriage of tried and true sex therapy as a modality to help couples heal their wounds and get past what's stopping them. And I married it with the how of life or personal coaching. Mm-hmm. And so Sex Coach You is really where I brought alive my book, The Art of Sex Coaching. And it's a way that's so different from therapy in many ways, or counseling, couples counseling. Mm-hmm. First of all, 95% of all my clients come to me by referral by their psychotherapist, because most therapists, counselors, social workers, etc., don't feel comfortable. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the skill to really open the conversation about sex. It's a very charged topic. And as a specialist in sexology or sexuality issues, I am that specialized person who then not only opens the conversation, but I navigate the client through the modality of sex coaching, which is quite elaborate. We don't have time to get into how that works. But my website actually at drpattibritton.com explains very detailed how the sex coaching process works with a client. And it shows the model that I've created, which is a 5-part holistic model, because I believe that our sexuality is parts of the sexual self that need to become whole or realized or in flow, whether it's the mind, the emotions, the body, and all the stuff that goes along with the body, but also our energy and our spirit. And so my model is a holistic model. And I find that couples really need to be addressed in a way through my sex coaching methodologies to look at what are they telling themselves, what myths do they hold, what kind of emotional baggage is in the way, like unresolved anger is a killer for eroticism, or even the body image issues. If she's afraid to expose, her 10 pounds of weight gain around her middle to her sacred lover, male or female, what's going to happen is sex is going to be a withhold. It's not going to be an expansive journey or one that takes people to pleasure. Our training in sexology is that through sex coaching or clinical sexology, our push is always toward pleasure and authenticity. And every one of us has an authentic sexual self, but it's often covered by layers of all the stuff that's gathered over time from childhood, you name it. That makes sense?
It does make sense. So what I got from it was like you're breaking down barriers for people to be more authentic with their partner and get to that pleasure.
You're absolutely right. But, the relationship with self is key. I'm really big on helping men, women, others really address, who am I as a sexual being, as a sexual person? Who am I authentically? What do I really want? What do I like, not like? What do I need in order to experience fulfillment or pleasure or orgasm? If we want to talk about one of the goals of sex, it doesn't mean we have to go for an orgasm. That's a lot of the dispelling of the myths that I do as a sex coach and a trainer, is letting people know that they don't have to have that orgasm. He doesn't have to get that erection. They can experience connectivity. They can experience pleasure, touch, sensuality as part of sexual expression. And, the biggest sex organ is right here.
Yes.
Okay. And so when we get the mind activated, it's also where the neurology begins, all the chemistry of sex. Once we get that activated, we can actually have sex even without touch. That's a whole other topic, but
I love that. I love that.
Really, when I work with people, and I rarely get the opportunity who, let's say, work with someone with disabilities, physical disabilities, who's unable to move or limited in movement. It's beautiful to see that they can experience sex through different mechanisms in their body. And sex is really a whole person experience. It's not just the mechanics of the genitals.
I love that you say that it's just the whole person. Because, within marriage, people have times where they're not having sex as often as they would or would like to. And to say that it's just not about the intercourse or just about the orgasm, but it can be an experience in a wide range between you and your partner, even with yourself. That's perfect.
Yeah. And, the reality is, for all of our listeners and viewers, is that as we age, or even as we live life, stuff changes, things happen to us. So even though I'm on this disability tangent right now, which I rarely talk about, but the reason I think I am is that I really want to speak holistically, is that, for example, we can have an injury and it keeps us out of being able to be sexually expressive, or we can be ill, or we can age. And as we age, one of my specialty areas, things slow down. Things don't work the way they used to. Things sag, slow down, and droop and dry up. And, that's not great news. I'm sorry to tell you. But it's true. And, I have so many couples who are in that older range who are looking for ways to boost their capacity to not only experience sex, but pleasure and touch. And I'll say that word again, connectivity. So much of couples' lives together is just making the connection. Sex is often a reason to just stop all the noise in life and just connect, right?
Oh, love it. I love it. Connection is my word. So like whenever you say it, I'm like, yes.
Very good. I'm reading you.
You're definitely reading me. So my second question is, what sex coaching strategies do you use? And I'm pretty sure you kind of answered this a little bit, but might want to go on a little bit in depth. What sex coaching strategies do you use that have helped couples keep the passion in their marriage?
Well, passion, I'm going to answer this in maybe a way you're not anticipating, but passion is energy. And when our energy is shut down, then there is no passion for anything, for getting up in the morning, for our work, our spirituality, for anything that we assign our attention to. So a lot of my work is energy focused or energy based. And I think that sex coaching, unlike many other therapeutic modalities or coaching modalities, is so good because it allows, again, that whole person to be addressed. And I also see that lifestyle issues get in the couple's way. This is something I see every single day when I work with couples. Turn off that damn cell phone. Technology.
I'm guilty.
Right? Technology is our friend, but it's also our enemy. And it's not a good thing in a relationship to be constantly focused on and responsive to the electronic demands of our lives. So for couples, I always give them the assignment I write a little prescription virtually of an e-fast, like shut off the damn phone. Let's talk about when can you have an electronic fast at night, because the complaint is she or he, or they're always on their computer. They're always looking at their cell phone. And then at 11:25 at night, when they're getting ready to go to sleep, not have the energy for sex, but needed sleep to get up in the morning for that job or their children or whatever, what happens is there's no energy left. They're depleted.
Wow.
So I believe that couples need to go on eFast. They need to have a weekly corporate meeting. The relationship is like a corporation. They need to have weekly business meetings.
Yes.
How's it going?
Yes.
What are our goals for the week? What do we share for our wins for the week? That's a wonderful thing to do. And I really believe in the cliche of the weekly sex date, not because it should be for sex, but because it's off grid for other things. I don't call them sex dates. I call them us time. I say, you need to have time in your calendar, your Google, your Outlook, your paper calendar. Put it in the book. You're very directive.
No, because you gotta do it, or you won't.
Because you're not going to do it if I don't give you that. So sometimes my clients hire me. I have a couple coming back that I've worked with over a couple of years sporadically, and I love them so much. And when I connect with them, I might see something that reminds me of them, and there I'll send a note, because I'm very communicate a lot through email and text with my clients. And I use Skype around the world, because not being a psychotherapist, I have the luxury as a sexologist to work virtually. But I say, how's it going? Have you made progress? And they say, oh, we did for a while, but we haven't talked to you, and things have kind of fallen back. And I say, you need to book an appointment. Hold the vision that I'm your accountability partner. And so much of sex coaching or other coaching is about that, isn't it? It's so beautiful that we can be in that collaborative, cooperative space holder relationship with our clients, so that we can hold them accountable for their wishes and for their fulfillment, because I want them to have the dreams that they set forth in their goals when we meet at the beginning. I want that for my clients, and they want it, but they get settled into the old patterns that don't serve them. So
it's
those are a
to
few
break
tips
those habits
of how I work.
I love that, like holding the space. Definitely, that's something that I do too. I just had a young lady write me something on Facebook, because I'm all about the technology too. She's just like, thank you for still believing in us when we didn't. Like, I'm like, I see you guys' future. They tell you what they want, and you like, yes, you have the ability to have this. And then sometimes, like you say, you fall back into old routines. It's hard to create those new routines with each other that are goal focused, but it's possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because that's how we all work when we're in that relationship with our clients, and they need us. Not for life. No, this isn't a lifelong relationship.
Not for life. We're not getting married. Okay, so my third question is, what is the number one thing you have seen in your practice that blocks couples from having a successful marriage?
Well, I think that it's going to come back to, first of all, a lot of people come into a relationship thinking that it's going to fix their stuff, okay? They come in with their own baggage. So it's one cart of baggage over here and the other person, their cart of baggage. And they think magically that by combining their carts of baggage and all those suitcases of crap, oops, I said crap, what's going to happen is it's all going to be fixed. Everything's going to be great. Not. So heal thyself first. So do your work. Clear your own baggage, become a whole person. I think one of the traps, two traps, but one of them is that people think that marriage is two halves making a whole, but the vision of that needs to be two wholes creating a half of a whole, a new whole, and a greater whole. But what happens is people often who are broken or wounded or really haven't done their own journey of their self-healing think that the relationship will fix it. The other is lack of communication. The one thing that startles me as a sexologist and a professor and a trainer and everything else that I do, the more people that I meet and the more I even hear about my proteges work with clients, is that couples can get together and do it. Okay. So they can have sex, sexual intercourse, whatever they have. It doesn't have to be that, but they can become a sexual lovership, but they never can talk about it. So being able to communicate who you are, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, what your fantasies are, and what you need. And that's the triple underline, what you need, what your body needs for it to feel pleasure, to feel fulfillment, to feel safe and connected. Safety is a big part of sexual relationships. So I think that the greatest deficit in many ways, aside from the carts of baggage, is not being willing, if not able, to communicate adequately about sex and your sexual needs, wants, and desires. And so that's a lot of the work that we as sex coaches do. We teach our clients how to do that. And we create that safe space in many ways as a laboratory, as a rehearsal space, so that they can use us to role model and role play their partner conversation. And then they can go home or wherever they're going to actually have that conversation and feel adequate.
I love that. I love that you talk about the baggage and the crap part, because I get a lot of couples who are already married and they haven't done that work. And I'm like, okay, you're not like doomed. It's okay.
No, you're not
You're
doomed.
okay. Let's just work on this one thing at a time for both of you. And then you both have a goal that you're trying to meet together. It's a little bit, they just get a little bit afraid when you're like, you have some work to do. Wait. No, I don't. Yeah, it's okay. Even though you're already married, you still have that self journey that you keep going on.
Exactly.
And don't be afraid of it. I think that, like you said, people are afraid to have these conversations, but they're already doing it or engaging in some type of intimacy without having a conversation. A conversation is sometimes even more intimate than just sex.
Exactly.
And people are kind of afraid about that.
You're speaking like a true sexologist today.
Oh my goodness. And so my fourth question is, how do you coach couples to agree on a marriage plan?
Well, it's interesting. I'm not really a person or a professional who attracts a lot of prenups, I'm going to call them. Occasionally I do. I usually get people who are in relationship already, who are married or in long-term committed relationships. They may not be married, but they're in a committed long-term relationship. And so what I like to do is I like to talk to people who have influence over particularly young people who are about to get into a relationship and really have that honest conversation. It's similar to what I've said before. Have a conversation about your sexual desires, your fantasies, your longings, your preferences, your orientation. I don't mean just who it is you're attracted to, but your orientation. Maybe you're somebody who really needs a little kinky behavior. Maybe you need spanking to become highly aroused. Maybe you're someone who needs to look at your partner as your beloved, or you have a sacred aspect to how you express your sexuality in relationship. So you really need to get clear about what your needs are, what you want to be in within that relationship, and you need to be able to ask for that, or at least do that. It's really about selection. A lot of couples come to me, and I'm sure the same is true for you. I sit in my inside head, I go, I wish you had come to me 10 years ago. And they say that out loud sometimes. Why didn't I find you before? Blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, sometimes selection error is really picking the wrong match, the wrong mate. And I see the sexual incompatibility many times, and I wish that I could encourage or create this magic for my clients to wind the clock back and either become clear about who they are and what they want before they enter into that engagement or that marriage or that long-term committed relationship, or get clarity within the relationship about who they really are, which may mean that relationship ends. So I think that teaching people to communicate, letting people have the permission. So much of our work is about giving permission to people, getting permission to get to know who you are first as a sexual person. Our program at Sex Coach U is very extensive. It's 220 hours. And part of that is your journey. You got to get clear. I say I'm training people to be clear and clean containers for what a client might present to them. That means you got to do your work. And that means you've got to go through your own body image crisis and resolve that, or your own sexual wounds or history of sexual molestation or abuse, and heal that before you adequately can sit and create that space for someone else. You need to do your own healing work, as I said before, and you agreed. But I think that it's so important, especially as a couple is looking at marriage or long-term commitment. They really have to know themselves well, and they have to be ready for that kind of a deep dive.
I love that you say that. And I kind of get like the lottery ticket, because I get to work with some people who are engaged to be married. And so it's so much fun having these conversations with them, because their eyes are open. Like, what are my needs? What are my wants? What are my expectations? What are your needs and wants and expectations? And can we meet each other? How do we negotiate so it's a win-win for both of us? Is this what we really want? And I'm so excited by those conversations, because no one introduced that to me before I got married. And I was like, wow, it's like it's even more of a way to get intimate with your partner, because they have to sit back and think today, well, what is it that I do? What do I want?
Yeah. Who am I?
It's surface a lot of times. I want to be happy. Okay, what does that look like for you?
Exactly. What does happy mean? And if you were happy, then what would you want?
So I love those conversations. Okay, so my last and final question. My last and final question is, what is the number one conversation couples need to be having to maintain that healthy relationship? So they're already there, they're doing their work. How do they stay healthy in their marriage and happy?
I think that couples need to do visioning together, and I'm in a relationship. My life partner is also my business partner, Dr. Robert. So, we co-founded sexcoachu.com, sexologyu.com, blah, blah. And we're professors and academic deans together, and we spend a lot of time together. But part of what couples need to create is separation. Okay? There needs to be breathing room in a relationship. So it's not just this mush of we, it's I and you form we. It's three entities, actually. And I think that's so, I said that like a prayer. It's so important that we differentiate people in relationship. So I think that it's not so much the conversation couples should have in order to maintain or fulfill a lasting relationship, but it's processes. And I think that setting a vision, every year we do visioning. We do a vision board, one of those 3-part foam core from Staples or Office Depot, and all the magazine clippings and the words you clip out and old photos. And this year I painted mine with metallic paint and put lots of pretty swirls around it. His is really white and plain with big words. We're very different. But that visioning is saying, let's invest in the future together. How do we want to manifest our future together? And we like to do it once a year. Couples could also check in once a month. How are we doing on our vision? Or they could do it for the duration of how long they want to be in a relationship, depending on their age. Couples sometimes get married in their later life, the golden years. And those are my favorite couples. And whether they're seeking to get into the long-term committed marriage or other relationship, or they already are, because that's my peer group. So I think that having the conversation about where are we going, and then using that as a measurement of, are we there? How are we doing? That's really important, and that's intimate. It's true intimacy. What intimacy means is into me you see. That's the way we define it.
You see.
And in order to have you into me, you see, I have to be able and willing to get vulnerable. And when I feel vulnerable, I risk my safety. So that's one of the reasons I spoke earlier about safety and sexuality. So how we create that safety is aligning ourselves toward the same visions, or differentiating ourselves, not having the exact same things, or not relegating our roles to that humdrum of, oh yeah, Tuesdays maybe we'll have sex, and Wednesdays we'll go out and she'll go out and do this with the girls, and he'll go and play cards or smoke cigars with the boys. But really having the vitality of a vision for and a dream for your relationship is part of that conversation, spoken or written.
I love it. That's exactly what I teach. So when you said vision, I was like, yes. Like, I love it. And you know, some people call them like date nights, but I like to call them inspirational days. Without the phone, without any internet, we're just out, we're just having us, and we're having that conversation where like, okay, so what do we want to do? What does our life look like? We're just dreaming together. I love that. I love people when they do that. And doing it concrete. We had the 3-way thing. So when you said it, we've done that before.
That's great.
Those work.
Oh,
when we went back and looked at it, we did that and we did that and we did that. Like, you actually have goals that you can obtain, and then you look back and say, hey, babe, we did all these and we have such great memories together.
That's right. That's
I
right. Because you're manifesting it in your dream board. We call them vision boards. We call them dream boards. And, you know, on our dream boards this year, we have travel. We travel once a year for a month to some place, but then we often go to other places around the world. And one of our dreams is to go to Kenya. And we've been invited twice by an organization to go do some sexual health training. And today I have on my dream board leopards and lions and I'm very, very tuned into the species that are so precious on this planet and the preservation of those great animals. And so it's on my dream board that I want to see those animals live. And so today I sent a note to our colleague in Kenya and I said, let's design this for February of next year. And it will happen.
Congratulations.
Okay, so this is how it all works.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, we have to set positive intentions and then we have to put positive attention in order for our lives to become what we want.
That is super great. Like, thank you so much. You've added so much value. I'm like, can't wait till we get off so I can write down my notes because I'm like, I know you have a free gift. Can you let everybody know what that free gift is?
I do. So several years ago, I had the privilege of making one of my DVDs for couples on interpreting where the Kama Sutra, the ancient teachings of the Kama Sutra, would apply to our modern times, because those teachings live on and they're still current. And one of the DVDs in the series was on focusing on the female. So the book that I am sharing with you all is an ebook with pictures. And it's kind of a workbook, like you can download it and write on it. And it's for her pleasure. So it's really how women need to be pleasured and open up their awakened sexual self. It's lots of fun.
Yay. I'm definitely going to download it. My husband always likes when I bring something new. He's like, what you got today?
Exactly.
So thank you. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you for listening today. Stay tuned. Things are going to be great. Appreciate you. Much love.